hope. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How one animal, one moment, one encounter with nature can completely change the direction of a person's life. Today on Hope, I'm joined by Jungle Jordan, someone who has built an audience around wildlife, humor, and education. But underneath all of that is a much deeper conversation about identity, purpose, and reconnecting people back to the natural world. We spoke about zoos, the good and the bad, why people slowly lose their love for animals as they grow older, the role of AI in conservation, representation in wildlife spaces, and why sometimes animals end up saving people more than people save animals. This conversation felt raw, honest, and strangely hopeful. I hope you enjoy this conversation, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much, Jordan, for doing this yet once again. I really, really appreciate you taking out the time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, just for the audience, like a lot of the questions for Jordan might be repetitive, new for you because funny enough, we have already done this 3 weeks ago, but it was completely my mistake that we couldn't really record this. And Jordan has been kind enough to do this again, so here we are.
Cool. I'm ready to go. We triple checked. We're good to go.
Yes. Cool. Do you
Uh,
want to start with your introduction yet again and tell the world about you?
sure. My name is Jordan. I go by Jungle Jordan on all social media platforms. I'm a wildlife educator, former zookeeper, and just all around animal lover. What I do is I make content based around animal education, getting people excited about the animal world, and also getting people to understand the world behind zoos and aquariums.
Mm-hmm.
And, just that little, just extra bit of knowledge of what happens like behind the scenes and
Hmm.
how much work zookeepers put into the zoo world.
I do have a question about zoo, but before that, I really want to ask, which I've asked before as well, about you saying repeatedly how animals saved you. Because usually people talk about how they love animals or their relationship, but you are the first one who I would have heard saying that animals saved you. So what's the
Yeah.
story about that?
So growing up, I had anger management issues, and I also have ADHD. So growing up, I used to get teased a lot because people thought it was funny to kind of like try to like watch me get mad because it was so fast. The temper was so quick, and I would just kind of blow up, right? And kids thought it was funny. Kids thought, oh, let's mess with Jordan to watch him get angry, and they also thought it was weird that I had this love for animals, and that it was different, right? It was odd, and it wasn't like everybody else. So kids would tease me. I'd get into fights and then suspended and expelled from a couple schools. Uh, and yeah, but my mom noticed that I was always this big animal lover, and whenever we go to the zoo, I was always this happy, smiley kid. I was always happy for the most part. If I wasn't getting bullied, I was a smiley kid. But at the zoo, I was just obsessed, and I would just walk around, talk to strangers about animals as like a 5 year old, right? Just to anybody that would listen, I would just spout off animal facts. And so when became 11 years old, I kept getting suspended and from schools and then to fights. So my mom was like, "He needs an outlet. Let's try to see what we can do." And she reached out to the local zoo and to see if they would take on an 11-year-old volunteer. They initially said no, but my mom is very persistent, and she kept pushing and pushing, and they were like, "Okay, fine. Let's talk to the zookeepers and see what they think." And they met with the zookeepers. They're like, "You know what? Sure, let's see. Let's give them a chance. Let's meet them at least, right? This one time and see how it goes." So I go in. I go to the family farm area. So that's where like there's like the goats and the sheep and the cows, things like that are in the area. And I met the zookeepers, and they're like, "Huh, this kid's kind of strange. Like, he's like oddly into this, and he's not like a normal 11-year-old, right?" So, because I was there, and immediately, like, I'm picking up goat poop. I'm learning how to train rabbits and hold rabbits, things like that, right? And they're like, "Okay, this kid is definitely different." And so I got accepted as the zoo's youngest volunteer in history.
Hmm.
So that was, something that was a big deal for me, and I was able to become their first youth volunteer. And but they since then have never had an 11-year-old as a volunteer. But they did start a teen program a couple years later that I joined
Yeah.
because they realized that teens wanted this is something that teens wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to go out there and you know be like a I'm going to toot my own horn here, be a pioneer. But after the volunteering, after I became a volunteer, that was actually the last year that I got suspended or expelled from any schools. So that was something like animals saved me
Yeah.
from getting upset, getting into fights. They calmed me down.
Mm-hmm.
Being around them, it was something that I realized I needed that outlet,
Hmm.
and they're very calming. And I wanted to be a voice for animals because I felt like they were misunderstood, almost like myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a way to get people to understand animals and myself, I just thought I could talk about animals.
Yeah. That story never gets old. I love listening to it.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, I can very much relate to the part where you said like where people used to make you angry and used to get angry and they used to enjoy it. That's something I can very much relate to. People enjoy making you angry and making fun of you. And kudos to your mom, yeah, like for whatever she did. That's really big. And I don't think a lot of parents do that nowadays. And yeah, that may be a question. Like I would love to ask you, why do you think a lot of the parents are quite hesitant sending their kids out there or exploring the world out there and like usually trying to want their kids to pursue more safer options when it comes to even careers as well.
Well, especially for careers, because zookeeping is not the career that's going to make you money,
Right.
right? Parents just want to make sure that you're successful and you set yourself up for the future, and you're not in enduring any hardships or hard times, right? They want to make sure that you're going to be set,
Yeah.
right? Because like shoot, all the time growing up for me, they were like, Jordan, you're so smart. Are you sure you want to go into the animal world? You could do literally do anything, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. You know, that's that's all I wanted to do. That like I couldn't see myself doing literally anything else other than talking about animals for a living. That's pretty much what I thought. Actually, I thought being a zookeeper was my way that I could get people to understand animals more,
Yeah.
but that was just an entry level thing. As a kid, my dream was to have a TV show about animals where I could explore the
Uh,
world, but that was just a dream.
yeah.
And so I thought more realistically that working with animals directly was my way to help them
Yeah.
in the zoo setting and to get because people come there. And so I thought, hey, I could talk to people and reach people here
Yeah.
in the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out that, no offense, but the zoo was a little limiting. Because I have bigger dreams.
Yeah.
I wanted to reach more, and I wanted to reach more. And so I thought getting out of the zoo world was a way to do it. Um, but yeah, people they think also. I feel like a lot of us, people of color, we grow up with this stigma
Hmm.
that we're not supposed to be around animals.
Hmm.
It's dangerous. We're not supposed to be that close. Which, yes, wild animals are dangerous,
Yeah.
but there's ways to go about it, right? Like the zoo is a very safe setting.
Hmm.
Even in the wild, if you keep your distance, you'll be fine,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I think there's just that misunderstood feeling
Mm-hmm.
and misinterpretation of animals.
That's interesting. And
Yeah.
how do you think like your goals about your career have evolved versus when you were a kid? Like how's that changed and what are your plans when you go forward with this?
Yeah, that's the thing. So I didn't think I thought zookeeping was my method, right?
Okay.
I thought that was my way. I thought that was the thing I had to do. But then I found that I was really good at talking to people. I've been doing it for pretty much my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I found out earlier on when I was doing, let's see, okay, my first exposure to be on camera was I was doing my senior thesis on Komodo dragons at the zoo while I was in college. And at that point, I was already employed by the zoo, but as like a zookeeper aide,
Hmm.
right? So And since I did my thesis on the dragons, the marketing team was like, Jordan, you've done work on dragons. We want to promote the Komodo dragons more. Would you want to be in a video
Hmm.
for this for them? And I was like, yeah, sure. And the video, oh my goodness, it was my first time being on camera. Oh gosh, I was awful. It was so awful because they tried to like script it
Yeah.
and like have me act
Yeah.
and like be like an
Yeah.
actor. That's not me
Hmm.
at all. But the video went viral. This is the early days of YouTube,
Okay.
and this is yeah, because they were actually one of the first zoos on YouTube, and this video went super viral, and it went well. And so after that, they were like, "Huh." I think they put it in the back of their minds. They're like, "He might be something. Like he might be able to do something someday,
Yeah.
right?" And so fast forward, I came back and got a zookeeper job quite a few years later, and like Jordan's back. Hey, you want to do more videos? I was like, sure, why not? It's fun, and I just was repetition, doing more and more. And I was like, this is really interesting. Like they saw the way I interacted with people on camera was I could get them talking, I could get
Yeah.
them engaged, I could make them laugh,
Hmm.
and then I started to do when I was a zookeeper aide. Still, I actually was doing these giraffe feeding experiences.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, I would like be the person to like talk to you and give you the food and have you go feed the giraffes. So people used to wait in line for this, and it's hot summer days,
Hmm.
and so they're getting impatient and tired and hot and
Yeah.
sweaty. And so what I used to do was like a stand-up comedy routine. Basically, I would just
Hmm.
go to them in line, give them animal facts, but make them laugh and you know, I'd make fun of
Yeah.
people, but but not like not like in a bad way.
Yeah.
I'd make people laugh, right? And that was actually when I actually used to get a couple what do you call it? I used to get um reviews back
Hmm.
about me, like positive reviews.
Yeah.
People were writing about me, and so I'll never forget that. That's one of the things. But that is my power: is being able to make people laugh, smile, talk to them.
Hmm.
But the camera stuff was when I decided, hey, I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
You know, that's when I decided to switch, and I went that way. I saw how many people were getting reached and learning something about Komodo dragons.
Hmm.
So I was like, I can do this on my own if I figure it out,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of where the leap kind of switched. There's a whole other story. I'm not gonna tell that story, but there's a whole other story about hippos and a zoo volunteer that was kind of negative, and I made it a positive.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. But do you think like humor is one of the key components which makes your way of education more effective, or is there more to that?
I would say my humor and my I'll call it corniness. I can be a little corny sometimes, but no, I think humor and positivity,
Hmm.
enthusiasm. When people see my smile, right, it's kind of contagious. Like it makes them want to smile a bit,
Yeah.
and that's I try to push positivity on my page.
Hmm.
I will say I am very open and honest on my page as well.
Hmm.
I will share if I'm not feeling great, but I'm not going to just go on there crying and
Yeah.
nothing wrong with crying, but I'm not going to just go out there and just oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
not going to do all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, like hey, I'm not having a great day. I struggle with ADHD. I struggle with this, and I share those things. I'm open. I'm honest.
Yeah.
You know, I think people relate to the fact that I try my best to be real
Hmm.
and not fake.
That's interesting. Lovely. Coming back to zoos a bit, and then I would love to talk more about education. But since you talk a lot about behind the scenes for zoos, so like zoo is a big part of your way of communication, if I may say.
Sure.
But do you think a lot of people there come questioning about the existence of zoos? Because I try to talk to a lot of people about zoos, and some people love to talk about it, but some clearly say no because according to them it's a very gray area to talk about zoos.
Right.
But if someone comes up to you with genuine curiosity to know more about zoos and their existence and their role in conservation,
Yeah.
what's your usual answer to that?
Well, I definitely find it's definitely an interesting conversation to have because of how zoos got their start,
Yeah.
right? Like They got their start based off entertainment. A lot of them
Yep.
did. A lot of them
Mm-hmm.
did, but some didn't. But the whole goal back then was to make money and give people something to do.
Yeah.
Right. This is long, long time ago. Right. Um, but now zoos are based off conservation, accredited zoos.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Wait, hold on. What does your mug say? Snakes because people are dead. So I don't know if you saw, but I actually have a Cobra shirt on
Oh,
today. Yeah.
that's so
So
cool.
yeah, I also saw your ring. Is your ring a snake as well?
Yeah, it just fell downstairs. It's a copper ring with a
Oh,
snake again.
that is so funny. Okay, okay. Anyways,
By
I
the way,
like
is
snakes too.
that King Cobra Conservancy?
It is not. It's
Ah,
not.
okay.
It's not. No, this one is just a random shirt that was from like I forget what store this is from. Just like a random like Walmart or
Oh,
something. I
that's
don't
pretty cool.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so that conversation about zoos and if they're good or not. I try to like if people come to the zoo with questions,
Mm-hmm.
I have that open conversation with them. Like I realize where they're coming from because it's
Yeah.
the history, right? So I explained to them like some people really don't know that animals aren't coming from the wild. Like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't just zoos aren't just snatching these animals from the wild, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore, obviously. But some of them are coming from the wild,
Mm-hmm.
but for specific reasons, conservation reasons, right? Like, for instance, if I talk about the western pond turtle,
Yeah.
right? It's a native turtle to Washington State here that is collected when they're eggs in the wild sometimes because they're being taken out in the wild by invasive species such as the bullfrog,
Mm-hmm.
right? The bullfrog is not from here.
Yeah.
It got introduced to Washington, and they're taking out native animals. So what we do, right, or what I used to do at the old facility, was we have the eggs, we hatch them, we raise them to be a certain size,
Mm-hmm.
and then re-release them back in the wild, where they can't be they're too big to be eaten by the bullfrogs,
Yeah.
right? So yes, there's going to be other predators that are natural for the turtles,
Mm-hmm.
but the bullfrog was decimating their population, right? So that's one little way of what zoos do for conservation. Uh, I like to explain that a lot of these animals wouldn't be alive if it weren't for zoos,
Hmm.
right? Accredited zoos. So just I try to have those conversations. Like the biggest thing I go to is what is an animal doing in the wild? When people ask, "Hey, this animal doesn't have enough space,"
Yeah.
then I go,
Yeah.
"Why do you think that? Why do you think that?" Right? I try to ask them, "What is
Mm-hmm.
your reasoning?"
I guess that's usually they humanize it a lot.
Right. And they go, "Well, because they they need to explore." Okay, well, what are they exploring for?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They go, "I don't know, food, water, a mate."
Yeah.
Okay, what do they have here?
Mm-hmm.
Food, water, mate. Okay, okay, bear with me. Then I go, so why why does an elephant walk thousands of miles? Food, water,
Mm-hmm.
safety. It's funny. I tell people, an animal, when their needs are met in an environment,
Yeah.
they rarely feel the need to leave that specific area.
Mm-hmm.
They only move because they have
Yeah.
to escape predators, to find resources, to
Mm-hmm.
find a mate, right? So these animals in the zoo world are like living these cushy, pampered lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the most pampered animals that I've ever seen in a zoo is an elephant. But I know that's a whole controversial statement. I'm sure people have feelings about elephants
Yeah.
because of their majesticness, their size, their beauty, their intelligence, all those different things, right? But you know, and they get enrichment, things like enrichment, right? These animals get things that will stimulate them
Yeah.
mentally, physically, and even emotionally, right? So when we pull back the curtain of what's happening behind the scenes
Mm-hmm.
for people to see on screen,
Yeah.
they realize, oh, okay, they're actually doing a good thing for these animals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a conversation I'm willing to have most of the time. But some people, you're not going to be able to change their mind, and I've
Yeah.
accepted that. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Also, I feel when people say this, and I usually ask them, okay, do you think elephants are majestic animals? And they usually say yes. And I'm like, where did you see your first elephant? It's usually at the zoo, because everyone can't really afford to travel the world and see elephants in the wild, which would be
Right.
great. But that's usually the first place of encounter that creates curiosity for people to know these wild animals in the wild.
Right.
So that might be a start for people to understand what zoos are. Obviously, all zoos are not good, all zoos are not bad.
Right.
That is a conversation to have. But yeah, there are a lot of things that go behind the scenes as well, which you show the people.
Yeah. And that's why I try to use my platform to showcase these facilities that are
Yeah.
considered quote unquote good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, like I don't go to places that I don't support, you
Hmm.
know? So, right.
Interesting. Also, when it comes to education, I really wanted to ask. So, you conduct these walks, nature walks, where students go to and children interact with nature, which is pretty good. But in all of this, where do you think, like, you interact with people as well, so you interact with people from different age groups, but where do you think children or people start losing the love for animals that they have had as children? Because I believe every single child is curious about animals.
Yes, they
they
are.
don't they don't come with fear
Just
of
not all of them.
animals, yeah.
Yeah.
But as they grow older, like, their connection with nature and animals kind of either turns into fear or ignorance, or they completely lose that connection they have had with animals and nature. Why do you think that happens?
I would say high school they start to fade.
Okay.
High school age kids when they get towards senior year because they're starting to think about their future and their career and their parent. It's a lot of times parents, you know, like the parents aren't fostering
Hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
love. And I've seen the parents that foster the love. I've heard how they talk.
Yeah.
They're supportive, but they're also a lot of times parents that are well off,
Hmm.
that are they're set financially a lot of times. And they support, but even then they're not that supportive. Like I've seen families that are not well off
Yeah.
that support the heck out of their kids,
Hmm.
you know. And I feel like that goes back and forth up in the air on who's more supportive. But I would definitely say high school because they get pressured
Yeah.
into wanting to do something that's going to set them up for life,
Hmm.
not realizing that none of us are set up for life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like none of even even people. I don't know. It's a very small portion of the population
Mm-hmm.
that is like, oh, I'm good. I don't need anything. Like I'm
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
Like for the next two generations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's very rare,
Yeah. Yeah.
and most of us are struggling.
Yeah.
But I'm happy while struggling.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not working
Yeah.
a working a dead end job and
Hmm.
struggling. I'm working. Hey, I get to be around people. I get to talk to people about animals. Yeah, we're struggling,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting to look at things. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think all the kids that I've talked to, like I just had a nature walk yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and we're engaging. The parents love it. The parents love seeing how happy their kids are. I think because they see me pursuing this career,
Yeah.
they can envision that for their kids as well, and
Mm-hmm.
they see how happy this makes their kids.
Yeah.
They go, okay, maybe I can consider this being like I can quote unquote allow them to pursue this career,
Yeah.
right? Instead of trying to push for something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, like every kid I took out yesterday, I can easily see them doing something involving animals.
That would be
And
really
yeah,
good.
yesterday it was a smaller group. We had
Yeah.
6 kids and like I don't know, maybe 6 adults, so probably half and half. So it was like 12 people plus me and my partner. So yeah, 14 people.
That's really
It's a
good.
nice group of us.
Yeah. But like, if I were to ask you, like, if you have to create, for example, an education program for school going children, let's say 7 to 10 age group where children absorb a lot of things, like, how would you curate something like this, and what would be your way of adding to it, like, which would make your education program different and more effective for children?
Well, so what I do is the thing is the age group that I do really well with, it's
Yeah.
kind of a range. I would say between 7 to 11, like in that range. Those kids, they know so much. They're so intelligent. They're
Yeah.
so quick witted. They're so smart. and they know what they want to do.
Hmm.
They do a lot of times, like they really do. At least the ones that I've encountered really know what they want to do. Yes, they things switch and things change, and they have a new animal every week,
Yeah.
or the new favorite animal every week. But they kind of know they want to do something involving wildlife. And what I do is I'm just transparent about what I do with the animals in the zoo world, and that it doesn't make much money, and but I really enjoy it's. I tell them it's a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
but it's very rewarding. You're getting to interact with the animals and talking to people about them. Um, I share. I have a mentorship program called Wild World Academy,
Hmm.
and in that I showcase what it's like to be a zookeeper. But before that, I just go in depth about the animal world, uh, just nature in general, different topics like life cycles, and not really. I haven't covered climate change, but positive conversations
Yeah.
that get them interacted
Yeah.
and understand what's happening in the world. So, and it just being transparent about what's happening,
Yeah.
it opens their eyes and gets them kind of hooked.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, like, I have had recently, like, this thought that I've been thinking a lot about. I haven't formed a perception or view on it, but I would love to know your view. So, I believe, like, as educators, when we're talking about animals, be in the zoo, be in the wild, we try to only show, like, one side of the coin, which is how magnificent and beautiful they are, and some interesting facts about them, or how they are important for the ecosystem. But do you think, like, a lot of the times we are not showing the other side of the coin, which is how nature and animals can be violent, they are ruthless, they are merciless. Like, a lion hunting won't think that deer is cute, let me leave him, I'll go for the next one. Like, so there is a lot of violence and ruthlessness in nature which we don't really talk about as educators. Do you think
Mm.
that's keeping the public, like, showing them only one and good happy side of the story but not telling them the whole broad
Yeah.
picture?
I feel like a lot of people have that misconception, right? They don't realize how brutal nature
Yeah.
actually is. Um, I talk to kids about it,
Hmm.
but I don't show them really.
Yeah.
Like I don't put that in my videos. I will mention it in the videos,
Hmm.
but that's actually, I think, what makes some of those animal documentaries very powerful when
Yeah.
they showcase animals starving
Yeah.
or animals going through hardships
Hmm.
in the wild, right? And it's hard to talk about hardships in the zoo world because they're not
Yeah.
experiencing hardships.
Yeah.
But I talk about it in my talks in
Hmm.
the zoo. I mentioned to them about what they're experiencing and how the wild is not very safe, especially with poachers,
Yeah.
deforestation, agriculture is spreading, right? All these different things. It's a tough life
Hmm.
that I do express those in my videos. I do express it in person,
Yeah.
but I'm not really like showing a visual of
Yeah.
an animal perishing on my
Hmm.
channel,
Yeah.
right? That's just because I don't see that. Like I'm not out.
Yeah.
There was actually, I lie. There was once that I showed drought. This area in Washington experiencing a drought way too early,
Hmm.
and that was a very compelling video. It was really old. I wouldn't even know where to find it. That was like probably 6 years old. It was during the COVID times.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, geez, it's been that long. Oh wow. Um, but that video was pretty sad. Uh, I didn't show any animals like
Hmm.
dying, but you kind of get the implication that there was water in the stream, always in the stream, but it was completely barren. It was bad.
What kind of impact do you think people, like, it has on people when you show these visuals or you talk about these stories? Like, what do you think about that?
It makes them feel bad. So it invokes a really empathetic reaction.
Hmm.
It makes them feel sad, and they want to tell people about it. and eventually someone will want to help and give back. They find their nearest conservation group or effort and donate to it,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunately, a lot of times people got to feel bad in order to do something
Hmm.
or to help make an impact. What I try to do is get people to make an impact by being positive
Hmm.
and excited
Yeah.
about it, right? Having fun with it. I don't. Yeah, there's. I don't like guilting people, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is a way to work. Like, okay, have you ever seen those commercials? I think it's the ASPCA with
Hmm.
the dying dogs and like
Yeah.
the cats in the arms of an angel, right?
Hmm.
That with that song.
Hmm. Hmm.
So right, so that makes people feel awful
Yeah.
with those visuals and that sad song, and they immediately donate.
Hmm.
So that's marketing, though. That's
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I try to market with happiness and positivity, and try not to be so negative. But it exists.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Another question. I guess we talked about this last time as well, and I thought this does bring a very interesting perspective for people to hear, which was about AI and like kind of
Mm.
making people go like. So basically, for people, it was so. I had this conversation with one of my friends who was talking about how AI would be so developed that we'll be able to experience animals, zoos, and wild while sitting in the comfort of our sofa, like armchair, and that can really be done, especially with the emerging haptic technology. So, what do you think about it? Like, if someone would tell you, "Have hey, I visited this zoo. I could see these animals. I could sense them while I was sitting home." What kind of impacts do you think that has on conservation or the message of wildlife in general? This sounds scary to you.
AI sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
Okay. 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 Let me explain. I find it very fascinating,
yeah,
very interesting, but also very scary just because of all the movies that I've
yeah,
seen about AI taking
yeah,
over and creating robots to kill us,
yeah.
so
Terminator.
but Terminator, right? Like I'm like, have we not come on, people, have we not seen this? We've seen this happen before, right? Shoot, there was an AI that was out there trying to take out another AI.
Yeah,
It was trying to figure out how to take out
yeah,
another one. So like, come on, right? Come on, like, what are we doing here? Okay, but anyways, but in all reality, I do think AI can have a place if done sustainably because of all the resources it consumes. It's kind of tough for me to get fully behind,
yeah,
but I know that it can have a place to introduce people to animals that they never encounter ever in their life, or even people that have disabilities,
hmm,
or like people are hard of hearing or loss of vision, all these different things. There's ways to have them interact with the AI, which is kind of cool. Um, you can have a conversation with
yeah,
a zoo animal, right? Like a zoo animal can talk to you with
yeah,
AI, right? Like that's something very interesting. But I think it has to be done right.
yeah,
But I do think there's something about seeing them in person
hmm,
in the real world
yeah,
without a screen, without barriers, without AI that has this amazing layer to it.
hmm,
Because you can feel the breath, you can smell them,
yeah.
you can hear them, right? All these different things in person that again, unless you have those disabilities, unfortunately.
Hmm.
But yeah, it creates a whole different level of empathy, I feel.
That's
But
interesting. Yeah,
AI might have a place.
yeah,
It might.
yeah. Do you think, as people in wildlife and conservation working with nature, we tend to ignore the importance of AI and like the role it could play in actually helping us like achieve more when it comes to helping the planet as well?
I do think it has a role. Like I think it could, from what it's already doing, it could develop ways of conservation we haven't even thought about.
Hmm.
like ways to protect an animal. Hey, reach out to this country; they know about this animal. But no, that goes into that's when it gets difficult.
Yeah.
Thinking about country relationships, right?
Yeah.
That's deep. That goes into UN territory. Um, but I don't know. I am not an expert on AI. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I have no idea. It feels like the sky is the limit with AI. Unfortunately, to say
Yes.
it's a little scary. That's why it's very intimidating for me. Like I'd be really curious to like even at the conferences now, at like zoo based conferences where are conservation based, where most people are against using AI because of what it's doing potentially to our resources.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more sustainable ways to use AI now, and they're talking about like they're having sessions in these conferences about AI use,
That's good.
and I'm just different applications for AI. I'm like, wow, this is really interesting,
Yeah.
scary, but interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all I got on that one. I don't really know much about AI.
That's good. Yeah. Like it was, I guess, next week when I was talking to a wildlife photographer, and I was talking about the kind of impact AI is having on wildlife photography with all the perfect images it is giving you. And I was talking to her, and like we were thinking, like I believe after a certain point of time, people will start to enjoy the human imperfections rather than
Yeah.
everything being pitch perfect. Like everything is
Yes.
perfect. Like now we'll start cherishing those imperfections, those silly mistakes humans make.
That's what makes us humans. That's what
Exactly.
makes us
Yeah.
human. So like I like not being perfect. Right?
Exactly.
Like I don't want my content like yes, I judge my content every now and then if it does something didn't go right, but a lot of times videos go viral for these imperfections,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Like for silly mistakes in the videos.
Yeah.
People are seeing it more and they're acknowledging it. They go, "Oh, I've done stupid stuff like that before too."
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's relatable. AI is not relatable. As we
Yeah.
are AI.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds messed. I shouldn't say it that way. There are certain things about AI that can be relatable, but because it's imitating us,
Mm-hmm.
it's trying to be us,
Yeah.
or it's programmed to be like us.
Hmm.
Let me not say that it has a mind of its own, because technically it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's programmed to make us think it has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. Programs go rogue. We've seen Terminator.
That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Also, I would love to like for you to talk a bit more about you coming from like you being a person of color, and you have mentioned that before how like when you entered the zookeeping world and you see people around as well, and I've heard like some on your website like some of the people mentioning about how empowered they feel after seeing you, after a person of color representing, like
Yeah.
I believe when they see you they also feel like they are being represented in ways, and that's very empowering in its own way. So like what do you
Hmm.
have to talk about that, like?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so one of the reasons why I became Jungle Jordan
Mm-hmm.
was because of a little kid. I just got off of a bad interaction with a volunteer at a zoo. It was very degrading and demeaning, and it made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be in the zoo world. Like I didn't belong in the zoo world
Mm-hmm.
because I look different. But the very next day, this little kid, he looked like a small version of me, little black boy, about 7 years old maybe, running around the zoo. He was super pumped and excited, and then he saw the hippos. I used to work with hippos. He saw the hippos. He was like, "Oh wow, cool hippo! Did you know they can do this?" And he sees me, and he comes over and starts asking me a million questions. I'm answering him. I'm talking to him about the hippos, and then at the end he goes, "Wait, are you the zookeeper?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I want to be just like you." He said that,
Whoa.
and I was like, "Oh man."
Whoa.
It hit me. It hit me. I almost started crying right there, but I needed that moment. And so that was actually when that year was when I changed my name
Yeah.
to my social media name to Jungle Jordan, because I felt like I needed to have a more impactful
Mm-hmm.
name
Mm-hmm.
to stand out more.
Yep.
And I realized that was how I needed to represent
Mm-hmm.
my culture, my our image in this zoo world.
Hmm.
I needed to be more of a figure
Yeah.
because then I was making like videos every now and then, like for fun side projects. But I was like, I gotta make this more serious
Hmm.
because if I can get more kids like me to join this animal life, they can feel like they can be more comfortable joining if I am more visible.
Yeah.
And so making an impact for me just was the most important thing. Like shoot, just yesterday, a little black girl, she's on my nature walk, and she's been so open to exploring and feeling comfortable. At first she was really shy
Hmm.
and she didn't know if she could show her animal love,
Yeah.
right? But she saw she was surrounded by people like me and kids like her that loved nature. And she's just been lighting up, talking more. She's so smart. She answers every animal question I throw out at them. It makes my heart so happy to see them being open and willing to be themselves and not worried about feeling different. And that's why I do what I do.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
But do you still think this is still a concern among people you meet around in zoos or like in community in general who face problems because they are a person of color?
Oh yeah, of course, 100%,
Is it?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like shoot, the thing is, it's more, what do they call it? Microaggressions.
Yeah.
So people don't really realize they're doing these certain behaviors around me,
Hmm.
but people definitely act differently around me in the zoo world, unless they know me, right?
Yeah.
Or unless I don't know, unless they know who I am or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like in the workplace, I've seen it. Me just walking around, like. But luckily, at my facility that I'm at now, I've made my presence kind of known because I put myself all over the
Yeah.
zoo social media now. I didn't used to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. But my coworkers and even boss said, Jordan, you should probably start adding more of yourself
Yeah.
because the zoo needs like a bit of a voice, a bit of a
Yeah.
face, something that people can hold on to
Mm-hmm.
and find
Yeah.
relation with, right? And so now when I walk around the zoo, people stop me. They go, "Hey, I love the videos you do for the zoo. They're really funny, and
Mm-hmm.
you're funny." I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
Like I've noticed that difference because before I was trying to isolate myself and stay hidden
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because of the looks I used to get.
Yeah.
But now the looks are changed. They are changing. They're more like I recognize him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, but it still exists. That sad side still exists for sure.
But I guess it also ties to our to conversation about AI. Like people enjoy seeing you because when you like humanize an organization or or some work that you're
Yes.
like, people connect even better with you because they're like, oh Jordan, like that's someone I know, and it's not Chat GPT. I know that, but it's Jordan. I know
Right.
that. That's interesting.
For sure.
Perfect. We're pretty much reaching the end. So this is one question I again wanted to ask you because you gave a lovely answer last time as well, and I would love people to hear it. If you had an advice for the young Jordan who was, imagine standing right in front of you, who is again filled with rage that people are not understanding him, he's much misunderstood, and he feels that comfort with animals. But what one advice would you give him, being where you are now?
I would tell him to throw away his fear and just go for it.
Hmm.
Just do it. Like just put it out. Stop worrying about what other people think of you.
Yeah.
Because my entire life, I've had this fear of judgment
Hmm.
about what people think of me, of who I am, and what I love. But back then, right, young Jordan, I still did my stuff, but I hesitated to do my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm in the zoo world because I pushed past those boundaries.
Hmm.
I just wish I would have done it earlier
Yeah.
and stop worrying about kids teasing me But just not to say, I'm not sure I would change that much because it's because those kids teased me
Yep.
that I pursued my passion even harder.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because those same kids that used to tease me and bully me, whatever,
Yeah.
that I used to get into fights with, all those kids see what I'm doing now,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Wow, Jordan, I love that you stuck with animals. My kids love what you do."
Oh,
You
that's
know,
the biggest compliment.
times
Yep.
I've heard that. I've heard that so many times, and because they realize those same people did what they did with the bullying and stuff like that because they didn't realize that it was a safe space for something like for them to do, right? They didn't know what was acceptable, and they didn't know if they would get teased themselves or not. Because a lot of those
Yeah.
kids like animals too. Like you said, we
Yeah.
grow up liking animals, but it gets taken away from us somehow.
Hmm.
But I would just say, yeah, keep pushing.
Perfect. We're running out.
Go for it.
We're running out of time, but I did have a quick story to share when you said animals can be a safe place. Like, so after the podcast we did last time, I was thinking about it again and again, and I could think of a story. So, whenever my mom used to shout at me or be mad at me for all the right reasons, I used to trouble her a
Right.
lot.
No, I was there too. I was there too. I got it.
But what I used to do is I used to, again, ethically it's not a good thing to do. No one should do it. But I would, you go to the aquarium. I would get a small bucket. I would put all the fish in that bucket and choose my favorite wall. Sit by the wall with the bucket of fishes, as like being a rebel. That unless and until you get me what I want, me and my fishes are not moving from here. And once she would agree with me, I'd put all the fishes back and be like, okay, now we are set. So I used to do
That's a good
that.
story. That's a good story. It's a good rebel story. That's a good rebel story. I trust me. I've had many like those.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of stories like that. Yeah, my mom, she did put up with a lot with me. I will say that. But I always had the best intentions. Oh,
Perfect.
oh, that's awesome. Thank you for telling me that. Yeah.
No worries. Perfect. Before we leave, do you have a message of hope for the people? Something I asked all my guests to give it to the people, because sometimes they are in a space where they can't see the sunshine out there. So I believe my guests act as rays of hope for the people who don't have much.
We need you.
Hmm.
We need you. That's very simple, but whatever you're going through, whatever you're thinking about, whatever impact you think you're not making, you really are. And we need you in this world. You help us go around. And one of the things I want to say is, if it's social media perspective, right? If you are a content creator and you get 100 likes and you're like, God, that's nothing. God, I hate that. People don't care. People are bored of me. I suck, right? Put that 100 people in perspective. In your bedroom right now, if you put 100 people in there, would it be crowded or would you have space to move? Right. Most likely, most of us, the good majority of humans,
Yeah.
would be crowded with 100 people in your bedroom. You probably wouldn't be able to move. Would they even fit in there? So put that in perspective. 100 people are the 100 likes are people that you've changed, you've impacted somehow, and somewhere, some way, those people are going to take your message and share it. So you're making more of an impact than you think. But we need you.
Perfect.
So
Before we say bye bye, Jordan, do you have any ending notes, any advice for me for the podcast, or anything you want to say?
more cheetahs. More cheetahs. It's the best animal in the world. Get more of them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jordan, for doing this again. I really, really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me again.
Thank
That
you.
was
Thank you.
great.